Krystal Everdeen, and today I'm going to share with you how I crocheted this ghost cardigan, perfect for the upcoming spooky season. For this project, I'm using black and white yarn from the brand Crafter's Secret Big Idea. They are all size 4, 100% acrylic, 810 yards. I bought these at Hobby Lobby, but if you do not have a Hobby Lobby or a local craft store, then I will go ahead and leave my Amazon affiliate links to other yarn that you can use for this project in the description box down below. I am also using a size 5mm hook, and if you want to get the exact same hook that I am using, I will also have the link for it in the description box down below. And although you can make the entire project with yarn if you like, these next items are optional and were just what I personally used for this project because I thought it would make it easier on me. And those items are black felt, scissors, and white thread, but again, you do not have to get those if you can do everything with just yarn. I'm going to use the white felt to decorate the ghosts, and then the needle and thread to sew on the little ghosts. And speaking of ghosts, here's a little preview of them. I wanted to make them different shapes and sizes, and I think it's going to look really cute. Obviously, you already know what the cardigan looks like by now, but as of me recording this video, I actually have no idea how it's going to turn out, but hopefully I can make it work. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. Ooh. So the very first thing I'm going to do is work on the body of the cardigan, starting with the front pieces. Now, because I'm working with black yarn, which I know can be hard to see on camera sometimes, I want to let you know that if you're having trouble seeing and following along, I have 2 other crochet cardigan tutorials you can watch on how to make the sleeves and the front and back pieces. Those will be linked in the description box below. Again, if you're having trouble seeing with the black yarn, totally understand. Okay, so I always bring out my favorite non-crochet cardigan to serve as a model for all my crochet cardigans that I've made so far. Because this is a color block cardigan, so it's easier for me to show you all the individual pieces that we need to make and put together. Okay, so you can see right here that we have the 2 front pieces and then we have these sleeves, and we're actually going to start off with the most difficult shape to make if you're a beginner, which are these 2 front pieces. Everything else is actually really easy to make because they're all just like regular rectangles, but these 2 pieces are a little bit different because you can see right here it has a bit of a slope, but don't worry, I'll show you exactly how to make that. Basically, we're going to first make a square base. So we're just going to make a normal square project, easy peasy. Then once we get to this portion, so we're going to make a square. Once we get here, we're going to start decreasing at the end of every row on one side. So just on this one side, we're going to start decreasing. And again, I'll show you what that means once we get to that point, but I'm just going to explain it to you right now. So again, first, we're going to make the square. We're going to get to this point, and then we're going to start decreasing on one side to make this slant. And we're just going to keep decreasing on one side until we get to the very top, and we're just going to make this little shape right here. And once we do that, we're going to finish off that side and then do the exact same thing on the other side. Hopefully I didn't confuse you. So go ahead and grab your yarn. I'm going to go ahead and grab my black yarn. From here, you're going to make a slip knot, and after you've made that slip knot, you're going to put your hook within that slip knot, and then you're going to chain a chain that is just as long as this portion of your cardigan. So from here to here, basically from your belly button to the side of your body, maybe with a little bit more space, that way it could have a baggier fit unless you want it fitted. Then just go from your belly button to the side of your body. But because I like the looser fit, it's usually from my belly button to maybe like 3 or 4 inches after my side of my body. But anywho, since I do have a cardigan here to serve as my model, I'm just going to make a chain from here to here, and I'll let you know how many that is. Okay, so I made a total of 40 chains, and I went ahead and checked it, and sure enough, it fits from here to here. Perfect. So again, as a reference, I made 40 chains, but you can go ahead and make as many as you need to fit you. So from here, we're actually going to go back on that chain with a half double crochet. And if you're not familiar with a half double crochet is yarn over through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over through the last 3 loops left on your hook. Again, it is yarn over through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, then yarn over through the last 3 loops left on your hook. Yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over, through the last 3 loops, yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over, through the last 3 loops. And this is what the stitch looks like. Again, very difficult to see because it is black yarn. So if you're having a hard time following along because you can't really see, again, I have those 2 other crochet tutorials linked in the description box down below, and I use the exact same method to make those as I am to make this one, so you could go ahead and follow along with those, because I think I use yellow yarn for one of them, and then the other one is a pastel color block cardigan, which again uses really light colors, so you'll be able to see better. So again, if you're having a tough time following along because the yarn is too dark and you can't really see it well on camera, no worries, I have those 2 other tutorials. Okay, so now that I reached the end of the row here, I'm going to make sure that I go into the very last stitch of the row. So one last half double crochet. This is what the project looks like after 1 row of half double crochet on top of that chain. And then from here, we're going to chain 1, flip the project over, then go into the very first stitch of the new row with a half double crochet, and then of course go into every single stitch after that. Make sure that you do not skip any stitches, that way the project could stay nice and straight and square, which is exactly what we want right now. So again, the edges will stay straight as long as you do that at the end of every row. And yeah, you're just going to continue making another row of half double crochet until you reach the end of this one as well. And then I'll go ahead and show you what to do at the end of the row again. And then after that, it's pretty much the same exact pattern for a while. But yeah, let me go ahead and finish this row and meet you at the end. So I'm at the end of the row again. I'm going to make sure that I go into the very last stitch of the row. And then I'm going to chain 1, flip the project over, then go into the very first stitch of the new row, and then continue on making another row of half double crochet until I reach the end, and then do the exact same thing over and over again, making multiple rows of half double crochet. Again, making sure that I do that at the end of every row to keep the edges nice and straight and the project square, because that is exactly what we want right now. So yeah, that's pretty much the pattern up until you get to that point in your cardigan where you want it to slope. So currently I am about this far along in my project, so I need to continue making rows and rows of half double crochet up until I reach here. And then once I put the project against my sample cardigan, and I'm at this point with, you know, a square project with my rows and rows of half double crochet, making sure my edges are straight, then I will show you how to decrease on one side, that way we can make that V shape. But for now, just crochet all the way up until you get to this point, and then once you do, I'll check back in with you. Okay, so I've just crocheted more and more rows of half double crochet until I put the project against my cardigan, and now we're at the point where it's going to start to slope. So in order for us to make this slope, we're actually going to start decreasing at the end of every row once we get to this side. So only one side. The other side, we're just going to continue doing what we have been doing, chain 1, flipping the project over, going into the very first stitch, and then into every single stitch afterwards. But on this side, we're going to change it up a bit. So on this side, the side that you want to slope, we're actually still going to go into the very last stitch of the row, just like normal. You're going to still chain 1, just like normal, and you're still going to go into the very first stitch of the new row, just like normal. Now the only thing that we're going to do differently is skip the second stitch of the new row, and then just go into that third stitch. And after you do that, then you're just going to continue going into the rest of the stitches of the row just like normal. So again, the only difference that we're going to make every time we reach this side is that we're going to skip that second stitch of the new row. That's basically all we're going to do. And what that's called is decreasing, because when you skip a stitch, you're technically decreasing the total number of stitches per row, And when you only do it on one side, always at the edge, it's going to start pulling the project inward, and that's what's going to start creating the slope. So again, only do it on one side. So every time you reach this side, that's what you're going to do. You're going to decrease. You're basically just going to skip that second stitch of the new row. And then when you get to this side, remember you want this to still be a square, so you're going to do everything that we were doing before. So after more and more rows following this pattern, your project should look something like this. Again, make sure that you only decrease on one side, that way it's not forming a triangle shape and it's just sloping on one side. And yeah, after you have made as many rows as you need in order to reach the top of your cardigan right here and replicate the same shape as the front piece of your cardigan, you're going to go ahead and detach the yarn from the yarn ball and do the exact same thing all over again, because you need two pieces. So you gotta make one for this side and then one for the other side, and then we can move on to the sleeves. So after you go ahead and do the exact same thing over again and you have two of the front pieces already nice and made, we can move on to making the sleeves, which are again easier than the front pieces. You've already done the hardest part of the cardigan, which is the two front pieces, because they're a slightly odd shape. But after that, we're just going to make the sleeve, and what the sleeve is basically just a giant rectangle. I don't know if you could see it because it's all black. Let me move this. Okay, the sleeve is just a giant rectangle like this, and we're going to just make this giant rectangle until it's large enough to wrap around your arm and you're happy with the fit. I like it a little bit loose, so that's how loose it is for me, and it fits around the widest part of my arm very comfortably. So yeah, that's pretty much what you're going to do. We're going to make two rectangles for the sleeve, and then one giant rectangle for the back of the cardigan, and then we're going to put it all together and then we'll be done. So again, all we're going to do is make a rectangle. So I've already made one of them, and I'm going to show you how to start a sleeve. So basically you're just going to grab your yarn, make a slip knot, and then you're going to chain a chain that's long enough to go from your wrist all the way to your shoulder. For me, that is 70 chains, but of course for you it could be different. Also, if you want it to be shorter or longer, totally up to you. But for me, I am chaining 70 chains. So after you've chained a chain that is long enough to reach from your wrist to your shoulder, you're going to go back on it with a half double crochet and pretty much just make one giant rectangle until you get to the point where you can wrap the project around your arm and you're happy with the fit. Just make sure that when you do wrap the project around your arm, that you're not focusing on if it's able to fit around your wrist only. Say if you don't want it loose like I do and you want it to be more fitted, make sure that it actually fits the widest part of your arm, which is most likely your bicep area, and not just where it fits on your wrist, because then you won't be able to really fit into it. But if you want it baggy like mine, just again, you can go as tight or as baggy as you like, totally up to you. Just once you wrap it around your arm like this, once you're happy with the size of it, then you can go ahead and make the second sleeve. And then I'll show you how we're going to attach it. Basically, we're just going to fold it and then attach it right here. But first, let's go ahead and make this sleeve. Again, all you need to do is continue down the row with half double crochet, and once you reach the end of the row, you're going to want to make those edges straight by making sure that you go into every single stitch, including the very last stitch, chaining one, then flipping the project over, going into the first stitch, and then every single stitch after that. Absolutely no skipping. We're going to make the edges straight and make this project rectangular, and that's how you make the sleeve. Okay, so once you are done with your sleeve and you wrap it around your arm and you're happy with how it would fit if you attached it at the ends right here, then we're on to the next step. So from here, you're going to place the two edges of the project together and align them where you want to attach them to, like so. And from here, you're just going to slip stitch all across both of the sides here. Again, I know it's really hard to see because it's black yarn, but okay, so from here we're going to go through one side and then go through the adjacent other side. Then we're going to yarn over, then bring it through both of the stitches and then through the loop left on the hook. Again, you're going to put it through one side and then through the other side where you want the two to be attached to. Then you're going to yarn over, bring that yarn through both of them, and then through the last loop left on the hook. And you can see here, hopefully, that they're nice and attached. So just do that all along the two edges right here until you reach the end and it's all attached. So yeah. So after you've attached it all the way down to the end, it should look something like this, just like a tube that you can't see because the yarn is too dark. But yeah, so that's how you make the sleeve, and eventually we're going to attach it to the front and back pieces. So it's going to look like this. This is going to be the front piece and this is going to be the sleeve. It's gonna look great. And the last thing I need to show you how to make is the back piece. And the back piece is, again, one of the easiest things to make because it's just a giant rectangle. And you measure this out by using your model cardigan or sweater or top, whatever you decided to use to help you with the sizing of it. So from here, just make a chain that goes from this side of your top or cardigan or sweater to this side. And then once you do that, then you're just going to, again, go back on that chain with a half double crochet, making sure that you're keeping the edges straight all the way up to this point, which is going to fit at the back of your neck. It's just going to be one giant rectangle. One giant rectangle. So yeah, after you've made that giant rectangle, then we're going to go ahead and put everything together. So I went ahead and attached everything just as I explained. So again, I attached it right here and right here, then up here and up here. And of course I attached the sleeves, making sure that there is an opening in between and I didn't accidentally attach the sleeves together so that it's like closed. And then I did the exact same thing on the other side, because if you want to know how to put all this together and want better visuals, just go ahead and check out either of my other two crochet cardigan tutorials. I will be linked in the description box below. But yeah, after you have put together your cardigan, yay, congratulations, you just crocheted a cardigan. I will be adding some more details afterwards, like maybe some white trim or something. I'm just not 100% sure if I am going to do it or not. Obviously you guys know because you already saw the preview of what this cardigan looks like, but as of right now I have no idea what it's going to look like. Right now we're going to work on something I for sure want to put on this cardigan, little ghosts, yay! So I actually made a ton of them already just because I know I'm going to want to put a lot. So I made a ton of them off camera, but I'm going to show you how I make them. Also, I tried my best to like have them vary in size and shape just so that not all the ghosts look the same. So yeah, this is what I have so far. Also, we are going to put faces on them, don't worry. But yeah, for right now, it's just the crochet portion of the ghosts of the cardigan. So yeah. So we're going to switch over from our black yarn to our white yarn, and this is how I start off making my ghosts. So from here, I'm going to grab my white yarn, I'm going to make a slip knot, and then from that slip knot, I'm going to chain 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go back on that chain, but not here. I'm actually going to go into the very first chain that I made, and then I'm going to slip stitch. So slip stitch like this, and I'm left with a little cluster like this. Then from here, I'm actually going to try and find the center of this cluster and just kind of stab it. And then I'm going to make a bunch of single crochets within that same cluster. I've actually never counted, so let's count now. So 1, and then I'm gonna make another one. It is hard in the beginning, so if you struggle, don't worry, I struggle too. So that's 2, and then let's see, yeah, oop. So 3, and then this is all real time, by the way. I don't want to skip. I want to show you how exactly I make these little ghosts. I already lost count, see? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm assuming it's going to be 8, because usually I just go by looks and I haven't counted, but it's looking like how I want it to. So yeah, 8. So I make 8 single crochets inside of that one center portion of the cluster, and then from here I'm going to actually, instead of going into the cluster, I'm going to go on top of the first single crochet that I made, and then I'm just going to go around and around from there. So just going to keep going around and around in circles until it gets bigger and bigger. And if you notice that it's starting to kind of curl in, then all you need to do is make 2 single crochets inside of one stitch. See, I made a single crochet right here, and then I'm going to make another single crochet inside of that same stitch. And then now it's not really curling that much anymore, so I'm just going to do 1 single crochet per stitch. And then once I notice that it starts curling again, then I'm going to start adding 2 single crochets per stitch. So this one's going to be small, but if you want your ghost to be bigger, just make more of these rows, or just keep going around and around until you're happy with the size of the ghost's head, because yeah, that's how big the ghost's head is going to be. So yeah, again, now that I'm making other variations than the one that I made, this one's going to be a smaller ghost, and here. And now it's all straightened out. So this is going to be my little ghost head. And for the body, I think I'm just going to do it like right here. So instead of going around and around, you're just going to pick a point where you want the body to begin. I kind of like to stretch it out so it's not so round. So from here, I'm going to crochet from here and back and here and back and here and back. So from here, I'm just going to single crochet my way over to the stitch that I indicated. So right over here, you just kind of have to have the ghost shape in mind, and then it'll be easier for you to crochet it. So there you go. I went ahead and stopped at the stitch I mentioned earlier, and now I'm going to go back and make another row. And notice that when I go back on the row, I actually don't chain 1 and flip it over. I just go ahead and start the new row, because I do want this to be round as opposed to square. And once I reach the end, I'm going to go turn this way, and I'm actually going to start decreasing because I want it to get smaller and smaller as we go on. So from here on, I'm actually going to skip that first stitch, go on to the second stitch, and then just continue on this way. And then from here, I'm going to go this way, skip that stitch and go into the middle stitch, and go on this way. And then go this way again, go into that last stitch, and now I'm left with like a little teardrop. But I want the tail to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to chain 3, 2, 3. I'm going to go back on it with a single crochet. Yeah, this is going to just add a little tail to the ghost. And then from here, after I've gone on that chain, this is what it looks like. A very odd shape. But I'm actually going to single crochet all my way around over here to give each ghost a little bit of a clean finish. And then also, once I am single crocheting my way up here, once I reach the point where I want the arms to be, about like right here, I actually chain 3, 2, 3, then go back on that chain with a single crochet, and I made a little arms. So go back on it with single crochet, touch upon the ghost again, and there's a ghost little arm. Cute. And then I just continue single crocheting all around the ghost like this. And then once I reach the other side, oh, it's out of focus again, sorry. There you go. I wish I could just lock it on, but it always does that for some reason. So yeah, just single crocheting my way all along the ghost to give it a clean finish. And then once I reach the point where I want to make the other arm, I do the exact same thing. I just go ahead and go into that stitch, and then I chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then I go back on that chain with a single crochet, And once I reach the bottom of that single crochet, I just reattach it to the ghost. I have my little arm here, and then I go down the rest of the ghost with a single crochet. And if I want the tail to be a little bit longer, then once I get to the very end of it, so I'm going to go on the tail right now, I want it to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to go to the very end of it. Then I'm going to chain a couple more, so 1, 2, let's put 3, so we get a nice long tail. Go back on it with a couple single crochets until I reach the ghost, and then once I'm reattached to the ghost, I'm actually going to slip stitch twice and then cut the yarn from the yarn ball. And once I've cut the yarn from the yarn ball, I'm going to bring the excess yarn through, seal the project, and I'm left with the little ghost guy. Yay! So you can experiment with your different shapes of ghosts. This is how I make my little ghosts, and yeah, that's pretty much how I've made all of them. The only ones that are different are these ones. For these ones, I do the exact same thing. The only thing is, instead of continuing on for the tail, I just make little scallops. And you know what? I should just show you how I make these, right? Just in case anyone wants to know how I make those. Okay, so first we're going to start off the same way we did with the first ghost. So we're going to grab our white yarn. We're going to make that slip knot, and then we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go into that very first stitch and create a, you know, it's either just do a single crochet. So it's slip stitch or single crochet, totally up to you. I feel like they're the same, but maybe a single crochet is easier. And then we're going to make 8 single crochets inside of the center portion or center opening of that cluster, aka just like stab it in the center, and then that's the center that we're going to be making all these single crochets in. We're now going to start crocheting on top of those single crochets that we've made, and then you're just going to continue building upon this until you're happy with the size of your ghost. And then once you're happy with the size of the ghost, we're going to make the body of the ghost. So again, right now this circular part is going to be the head of the ghost. And then we're going to work on the body of the ghost, and then I'll show you how to make the little like scallop portions of it too. So I want this one to be tiny. I like little tiny ghosts, especially because I've already made so many big ghosts. I need the little tiny ones to fill in the gaps. So this one's going to be a little tiny ghost, but of course if you want to make yours larger, all you have to do is keep going with this pattern of making 2 single crochets inside of a stitch, and then 1 single crochet inside of a stitch, and then just going around and around in the circle until you're happy with the size of your ghost. So yeah, I'm already happy with the size of this little ghost guy, so I'm going to kind of stretch it out so it's not as round, and then this is where his body is going to be. So I'm going to single crochet my way to the other side and make sure I do not go all the way around, just stop at the point where I want his body to start/stop. Then from here, I'm going to flip it and then go to the other side to start forming more of a square, kind of like a rounded square, but still a square. So right here, and then go back, and then I'm going to go like this. We're not going to be skipping any stitches this time because we want the different shape than the one we did before. So from here, now that you're happy with the size of the body, again my ghost is going to have a tiny body, and I want to make the little scallops. So to make the scallops, you're just going to go into the stitch that's closest to the edge, and you're going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets inside of that one stitch, and then you're going to go over to that middle stitch and you're going to make another 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see the little scallops right here, and then you're going to go to the edge again and you're going to make 4 single crochets inside of that one stitch as well. And 4. Oh, and I think that was 3. And then 4. And voila, you have your little ghost guy body. So cute. So that's how I made those ones, and then that's how I made these ones as well. So you make any variation of ghosts that you like, make a bunch of them, kind of place them where you think you want to put them on your cardigan, and then you'll know that you're done with making ghosts. And after you're done making the ghost bodies, I'll show you how to put the little, or how I put the little faces on the ghosts. So to put the faces on the ghosts, I went ahead and grabbed my felt and it cut little eyeballs and little mouths, and then I stuck them on with some E6000 glue. If you don't have E6000 glue, you can also use hot glue, but I prefer E6000 glue or whatever glue you like. You can also sew the eyes and mouths on if you want to, but yeah, pretty much I just cut out little round eyes. I actually wanted them to vary in like facial expressions and stuff. So they have like different eyes, shapes, and mouths and stuff. So in addition to the eyes, I also cut out little mouths, and I just glued them on, and I just placed them wherever I wanted them to go. And yeah, that's how I made the ghosts. Now the last thing we need to do is attach the ghosts to the actual cardigan. And to do that, you could also just glue them on if you want to. You can use yarn and just kind of stitch them on if you want to. But I prefer using a needle and thread and just attaching them that way. But again, you have different options if you prefer gluing, if you prefer sticking with the yarn and just grabbing some white yarn and then slip stitching all around the ghosts so you can attach them to the cardigan. That's fine too. But for me, I prefer using a needle and thread, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my needle and thread and just sew these on wherever I want to. Also, I recommend that you try on your cardigan and then figure out where you want the ghost to go, and then you'll be happy with how they look, because it will look different when you set it down. You're like, oh, this looks really nice. But then when you try it on, you're like, oh wait, no, there's like big gaps in between, or it's too crowded over here or whatever. So I recommend trying on your cardigan and then either pinning them to where you want the ghost to be, or just like taking a mental note of where you want the ghost to be. And yeah, so go ahead and attach them. So I'm going to go ahead and attach them right now. Yay, so now that I have attached all of the little ghosts here, this is what the project looks like. And we're pretty much done with like the main portion of the ghost cardigan. If you just want to keep it like this, then it's perfectly fine, and you could rock it and it'll still look really, really cute and put together. But I do want to add a trim right here, and I'm either going to use white yarn or black yarn. I'm not 100% sure which one I'm going to like better, but I'm going to try the white yarn first, and then if I don't like it, then I'll just go with the black yarn. But essentially all I'm going to do is attach the yarn to the bottom right here, and then I'm going to single crochet all along this area, just again all along the trim here, so all around here till I get to this side, and then all the way around and back. And I'm just going to make a couple more rows of single crochet, and that will serve as my trim. So again, right now I'm trying it out with the white to see if I like it with the white. And if I think it's weird, I think it clashes too much with the white ghost, maybe takes too much attention from the ghost, then I'll just unravel it and attach the black yarn and use black instead. So, oh my gosh. It's going to be a little bit difficult for you to find exactly where to go. But another reason I want to do this is so that the cardigan will have a clean edge with that extra trim instead of like this raw edge that we have here. So yeah, I think the white is going to look good, but we'll see once I show you the final product. And this is the final product. I really love the way it came out. It's super cute and spooky and adorable and perfect for the Halloween season. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did find it interesting, entertaining, or helpful, please get a big thumbs up before you go. And of course, I will link those 2 other cardigan crochet tutorials in the description box down below, along with a crocheting for beginners video if for some reason you followed along in this entire video without knowing how to crochet, and you want a crochet for beginners video, I don't know, maybe this video convinced you to learn how to crochet. I do have that also linked in the description box below. So yeah, thank you again so much for watching, and don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye, and have a magical day.
These days, under the sun together. These days, let's make them last forever. These days, let's hope they last forever.